Hey guys, I've been so excited to tell you guys about this, but like, I don't want to flex too hard on you or anyone else out there, but I've always wanted to be the first YouTuber to have the first Supra as a YouTuber and to have it, and like I was gonna keep this a secret because I wanted it to be like all just for me and like not to just like rub it in anyone's faces. But my new Supra literally just came in and it's sitting outside the shop. Check it out. This thing is so cool. Toyota did such a sick job. I love how it comes factory low and long and super fast. Like, a lot of people are bummed that it doesn't have a 2JZ, but I'm honestly stoked because this engine is way better. It's faster and stronger and more lightweight, and so a lot of people have been asking me my thoughts on the new Supra. Kind of one of those things where like it's cool, it's a cool concept. BMW makes really like sick, reliable engines. It'll probably make 450 wheel with bolt-ons, but it doesn't really do much for me. I think it's gonna look sick when companies come out with like wide body kits and body kits, and once you lower them on wheels and stuff. I'm really interested to see if any companies make kits kind of like the renderings that I've seen, where it kind of takes elements from the Mark IV Supras. However, the car doesn't really interest me. I feel like it appeals more to, how do I put this without being rude? People that would buy an R35 GTR that kind of like really like the name and the idea of the Supra, rather than, I don't want to say enthusiasts won't get the car, but it's not for me. I think it's almost too mainstream of a cool car for me to want one. However, if they were to introduce, let's say, a 6-speed, maybe more track-oriented version, like a lightweight version that's 6-speed manual, maybe down the road I would see an interest in the car. But as it stands right now, it seems kind of more like not really for me car. What about you, Alberto? What are your thoughts on the new Supra? What? Is that, you like it or don't like it?
No, based on what you were saying, I don't know.
Like, do you agree?
It's too expensive.
I think it's a fair price for what the car is.
Buy 50 E36s for that.
Alberto, you realize you spent like...
Imagine having 50 E36s.
Bro, you almost spent that money on your 4-cylinder turbo Jeep. Get out of here.
True.
Yeah, so you need... But seriously though, like, do you kind of understand what I'm saying? It's hard for me to put into words about the idea of like the people that are going to own that type of car aren't really like the people that I would rather own like an older car and build it than like a new car like that. I don't know, it's weird. It's hard because I don't want to offend people, but I think some of you guys will understand what I'm saying.
I mean, it's like buying an M3 but with a Toyota badge on it.
Yeah, but I feel like because of the Supra name, there's gonna be a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, I own a Supra. You know what I mean? Like even an M3, I feel like is more of an enthusiast focused car. It's really cool. It's, I don't know, it's hard. People are gonna hate on me regardless of what I say. So I feel like it's like a very like touchy subject for a lot of people.
Somebody buy one and make it look cool. I want to see what it looks like.
They'll 100% look cool. 100%.
I want to see what people are gonna do with it, what kind of styles of body kit and powers you're gonna be making and everything.
Yeah.
I want to see what it's like. Maybe then we can consider getting one.
Yeah. Well, I was saying if they make like a 6-speed track version that's like lightweight and like more bare bones, I'd be more interested.
That's true. It didn't come manual at all?
No.
Not even in Japan?
No.
Why?
Because.
Save the manuals.
Got you, Alberto. Here's a manual. And my board goes back into the gear oil. All right, so bad news, good news. Bad news is we are not going to get the R33 back as well as the valve covers until tomorrow, so we're not gonna be able to do any R33 Skyline stuff. However, if you guys remember, we do have the subframe back, so what we're gonna do today is put the subframe in the JZX, get it on the ground, and maybe install some of those fancy bits I got painted, and probably just clean up around here, maybe do a little stuff on some of the other cars, but finally can get this thing off the lift, and then off to fabrication. So we got the subframe back from powder coating, and there's a little bit of powder lip kind of still on, so I'm gonna wire wheel it off real quick, and then we're gonna try to do the subframe bushing. Hopefully we'll just be able to tap these in easily. As everything goes flying. Maybe I should do this on the floor. Done. Over. These ones just slide in and I guess they get locked in once it's in the car. I don't know what the proper order to do the actual diff bushings is, so I'm gonna wait to do those until it's in the car because I wanna make sure, since this one has a specific orientation, I know that it's gonna be up and down, but I think it might be helpful if we wait until it's in the car. That way we can basically put it on once the diff's already in there and then align it so that way we know it's perfectly lined up, because it might be a pain to twist once it's already in there. So interestingly enough, rather than using the nice pretty Serial 9 rear mounts for the subframe, we're gonna use the stock ones. They say that if you put it on the car with the stock ones, it'll be easier to mount up and you won't scratch up their nice ones, and then you will do theirs last. So we'll put these in place for now, and then we'll put the nice ones on once it's already on the car. We're lucky that this car is super clean, but they did say to make sure that the stock bolts don't have any corrosion or anything on them, because you wanna make sure that they can slide nicely through the subframe bushings. If they're like all junky and rusty, you gotta get rid of that, otherwise you're gonna have a pain once it's in the car, because you do not wanna cross thread these, because then we're gonna be trying to rethread the actual chassis of the car, which would suck. So I will say I did end up getting new arms, but they're not gonna be in for a while, so I'm just gonna put the stock ones in right now because I need to make this car a roller so it can go to fabrication, and we'll do arms at a later date. The one thing that I know was very important when we're doing this, we're gonna get the rear mounted up first. That way when we put the front bolts in that are gonna be covered in anti-seize, we can be very careful to make sure we don't cross thread them. So Alberto will lift it up and then I'll thread these ones in by hand. It should be easy to hold in place. Here, I'll grab this side. You get the other side? I don't remember what happened with those brake lines. What do you think? You think they went under?
It looks like it will go under.
Yeah. Okay, if you can hold it there, I'm on. Are you on? Are you on? On your side?
Not really. Just wiggle it.
You got it?
No. Not in all the way.
No. I'll try it like that. Come down. Stay. Up. Nope, too much. Alright, go. Slowly. I think that's the ticket. I just need to hammer this side. This is where most people make the mistake of putting the bolts in, but we can't do that. It needs to be flat to the subframe, otherwise it will cause more problems. How the brake lines should go. So this tab, this one went to here. This one probably went like this, maybe? I'd become a Permatex Tin Man over here. Literally just like putting so much anti-seize on these. Just what they said. Serial 9's trying to help me out and save me the hassle. They're like, dude, I don't care if you put a whole entire bottle of anti-seize on there. It's still not enough. Can never be too safe. Alright, let's see if their advice worked. Dude, too easy. They're like, oh yeah, people struggle with this, and look at that. I need to get these bolts zinc coated, but the zinc coating guy didn't respond to us in time, so I might have to do that down a later date. But for now, that was like too easy, dude. This is too easy. How much nicer is this than an S chassis, Alberto?
A lot easier. Especially
so this
with
one's
no
making me a
diff.
little nervous. This would make me a little bit nervous. Remove the stock rear mounts. We're going to put in the nice, pretty Serial 9 ones. Remember, we didn't put them in because we didn't want to get them scratched up. So now we'll take this out. Pull out those 12mm bolts. I only put 2 of them in to make life a little bit easier. Hopefully, pull in the frame. We can just wiggle this right out. If not, we might need to lower those bolts in the front a little bit. Might be a little bit too tight. Maybe not. Might need to lower the front a little bit. Might have tightened it a little bit too much. Not the most room to hammer, but The whole time Alberto's just sitting there thinking like, oh, you could just use the nut to pull it in, but I'm not gonna tell him. I'm gonna watch him struggle. What's that finger?
That's, I'm agreeing. Voices agreeing to what you're saying.
So now it's perfect. We're lined up with the holes, just like we should be. Sick. We'll do the other side. I was trying to be all OEM and reuse these like harmonic weights, but the design of the Serial 9 mount actually doesn't allow for them, so if you see it's a little bit too far back, so we just got to pull these out and then we'll be perfect, and then it'll go on and it should line up better. Alberto's never ridden in this S15. Like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago at this point, we both put together this 2JZ, so I can imagine he's pretty excited to take a ride in the beast that he helped create.
That's how I feel. I'm kind of nervous actually.
There's no cup holders for the boba that we're about to go get. I'm sorry, Alberto, you're gonna have to hold it all.
That's pretty fun. All the whining noises. To the F15 acceleration ever, trust me. Adam's definitely gonna put it on the comment, on the edit, and he's gonna make fun of me. I just know it. Why am I so red? Adam, I turned red. The BMW is scared.
Yeah, see, I agree with you. I think the BMW hooks harder than any of my cars.
It's like mesmerized, and you feel like, oh wait, I don't know what's going on.
It's also weird because it's so quiet that it throws you off. Where this one's so loud that like you expect it to be crazy. So when it's not the craziest, like it is crazy. I think what scares me with this car is once you start getting faster, and I kind of want to put big brakes on this car, even though I don't really need them for drifting, just for like kind of confidence. You know, if I'm ever making a boba run with it. Got our boba. Cheers, brother. That was a shitty, those bad cheers.
Well, why is your nose frozen?
Because I didn't want a frozen one, dude. It's like 20 degrees out.
Yeah, does it get more cold?
Now that we got our food and we are recharged, first up is going to be installing the new LSD in this car that we put together in that other video. If you remember, it's a Cause 2-way. We're gonna put that up and then we can start assembling and putting all the arms back on and hopefully get this thing on the ground as a roller again. So I realized rather than us struggling with the diff in the air trying to line everything up, we had an extra rear cover that I can use to make sure the holes are lined up. So I'm gonna put it in here and then kind of use the bolts to line up this one to make sure we have the proper orientation for the 2-hole bushing. Good idea, right, Alberto?
Yeah, that's a great idea, man.
It would have sucked if we were struggling trying to hold the diff up while I'm banging in the bushing. This one was a little bit tough since this is the piece that they machined for us. I think when you welded it, it might have like ovalized it a little bit and it was kind of hard to start, where the other one's super easy. So as you can see with that cover up there, we're able to make sure that all the bolts line up so we don't have to worry about that when we're struggling with the diff.
What do you got? Dude. Wait, are you bleeding at all? Let me see. Hold on.
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, you're bleeding a little bit. You cut yourself.
Oh, it sucked.
I thought you put the bolts on it.
Oh, I'm so stupid. Ow.
Alright, hold on.
New rule at the LZ warehouse is to wear a helmet when you work underneath a lift, because apparently today I've now hit my head on the arms and now I've hit it on the axle. If you didn't catch what happened on that clip, I was trying to put the upper A-arm in and forgot that I didn't have the axle attached, so when I pushed it out, the axle just dropped on my head and felt like I got hit in the head with a freaking hammer. I started bleeding, but I'm good. even though I'm not planning on driving the car around very much, I figured I might as well still align it. So I pulled up the video that we had the car in the air last, just to kind of see roughly the eccentric bolt alignment specs, and I can see right here. So that'll make life a lot easier when it comes to aligning the car, because I can just kind of match up where it was. I feel so smart that I was able to find all the adjustments in the video. If you're trying to be smart with me though, you might say, oh, well, it's gonna change because, you know, you pulled the subframe, so things might have shifted, but whatever, it's gonna be pretty dang close, and then I can just toe plate it from there. It's getting pretty exciting. Got the wheels back on the car, got the exhaust back on the car. Now all we're gonna do is do a quick toe plate check to make sure the alignment's still decent, and then, you know, since the turbo that's on this isn't really gonna get kept, since I'm planning on switching out the turbo probably within the next week, I think it'd be cool to crank it up, because like these cars can take a lot of boost, they can handle a lot of power, but the problem is the turbos are ceramic blades, and once you're over like 16 psi, they tend to explode. But they'll usually last for a little while, so like it'd be tight to just crank it up to like 20 psi and just have it just be a little torque rocket, because it'll peak and then it'll fall off because it's such a small turbo. But me and Alberto might see if we could throw like a boosty in there or something, since we got a boost gauge to monitor. And then tonight I kind of want to put the Ganadors in, so I might do that. So it had this little thing coming off of a T to bleed the boost. See how tiny it is? I just pulled that thing off, so now it's got a big old hole. So we'll see what she spikes at. If the fuel cuts, then we'll just make it a little bit smaller. I'm so excited to take Alberto for a ride so you can hear my dying squirrel turbo. Yo, the diff is chirping. Hear that? Just wait for it. Here. You should definitely film your reaction of the turbo.
Can you do the figure eights right there at BC?
No.
Oh no.
Absolutely.
Oh, right here.
I could probably do it in our own parking lot.
Yeah, I'm like extra tired right now, so don't mind my face. That's a boost leak.
It's a boost leak?
Yeah.
$100 if you can find it within 5 minutes.
No. Not right now, tomorrow. Yeah, that's a boost leak.
For sure?
Yeah. Sounds so fun. What's that hidden boost to?
That was in Florida.
Gradually floor and watch the gauge.
It's right around 1 bar, that's perfect.
Cool. Yes. It's having a boost leak. Maybe you can hear
The previous owner was like, dude, I checked everything, it has to be the turbo. Oh, poor fender.
What are you doing?
Now.
That was
What?
over there,
Oh, the cop?
and then
He can't catch
you're
up.
drifting right next to. Yeah, that happened. Okay.
Oh, poor fender, I hope I didn't mess it up too much. Well, we got new ones anyway, but
So you
I told myself I was gonna wait to drift this car until I was able to raise it a little bit, but clearly that didn't work. I'm like, oh, LSD, you gotta make sure it spins.
You were supposed to figure eight.
Yeah, well,
To
that would
break in the diff.
Yeah, but that would have ruined my fenders even more than just kicking it out a little bit. Diff would be fine.
It's like, oh, I don't know what's going on. My diff is not locking anymore.
I would see if it spins in second. It does.
It does spin.
I mean, the tires have no grip because they're the stretched rubber band tires, but still. It's pretty fast.
It's fast and it's comfortable too.
Right.
Like I sink into the cushion of the seat. Oh shit, they got a good third gear.
That was fourth. That was
fourth?
Well, it's short gears because it's CD.
It's so weird because you don't hear any sound waves or anything, so it just pulls, but you're not like just hearing a bunch of noise like my car. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a nice boat.
Hey, the R33's a boat. This is a yacht. Yacht. Oh.
You're hitting too many things.
Now that I can spin the wheels, I just can't help myself.
There you go, now you can have some fun.
I got in that fixing mood and decided that I wanted to try to fix that squeal, even though there's no reason to. And I found with a smoke tester that there was leaking a little bit of smoke underneath the idle air control valve, which is kind of weird. And then I realized that someone, maybe it was a previous owner, put a block-off plate on it, and that block-off plate is leaking on the bottom. So what I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna keep the block off plate, but I'm just gonna re-silicone it there because it looks like there's some silicone that started leaking, and see if we can get that to do the trick. So basically what happened is there's a block off plate on there, maybe because the idle air control valve stopped working. You can block it off, and I guess all it really affects is your cold idle being higher. It's not higher when you I can't speak. When you block it off, your car won't have a high idle when it's cold, like trying to warm up and stuff. But anyway, the block off plate wasn't big enough, and you see how there's a gap where the gasket is, so air was escaping through there, and it looks like the previous owner tried like laying some silicone there to try to prevent the air from getting out, but obviously that wasn't working, and I think the air blowing through that is what was making the crazy screaming noise. He told me it was a turbo, but what raised my question to it actually being the turbo, I had mic'd this engine bay, if you guys remember one of my videos, and it didn't make the screaming noise being right next to the turbo. So that led me to believe that it was somewhere else in the engine bay, and when I smoke tested it, saw the smoke was coming out of there. This all makes sense. So I'm gonna lay some silicone and reuse this gasket. Even though I have a new one, I'm just gonna try to reuse this one, clean everything, and see if that does the trick. Passed the smoke test, so now we're gonna start it up and see if having that IACV active now is gonna make the car run like junk. It's possible, and I'm willing to accept that. Yeah, I got a broken key, I gotta fix that. All right, let's see. Nice serial 9 shifter. So it's got a high idle. The question is it gonna go down once it warms up, or is it gonna stay up? As predicted, it did have a bad idle air control valve, and now it's idling at 2 grand. I'm gonna try to adjust the idle manually, but I don't think that that's gonna do the trick. So the bad news is the turbo still makes a squealing noise, so it might just be a bad turbo. Let's see if that fix with the IACV kind of fixed a boost leak, or just created a high idle. Man, my laugh sucks. Just kidding. That was a notable boost leak, because now it makes about like 1.2 bar boost and holds it, where before it was only making like maybe it was like peak at 1 bar and then it would taper off to 0.8. So that's quite a bit of boost. So the car does feel much faster now, so that's cool, I guess. Just got a high idle and still the death scream. You know, even though I didn't find where the death scream was coming from, and I didn't get to doing the mirrors or the wing like I wanted to, at least I fixed a boost leak, and we got this car as a roller again. Or not as a roller, as a driving car. So this car can be driven if it needs to, or driven into a trailer to go and get some fabric done. So anyway, it doesn't really matter that the turbo makes a bunch of screaming noises since it's getting replaced anyway. But I get in that zone sometimes where I just want to fix something and I want to figure out what's going on with it. And I kind of did, but I kind of didn't. So whatever. Just me and my 3 coolest cars chilling in the garage. So anyway, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Getting the R33 back, and we're gonna go ham.